Okay, viewers, this is a bit off-color because I errantly, mind you, this was not deliberate, this was not a flex, I dropped into a trios match solo. Now, the circumstances that led to this was we're running Oceania. I was playing with ZKA, and for some reason Oceania does not have duos, only trios. So we were running duos and trios, but he went back to lobby and it match made me with like because Phil was off, and so it match made me in a trios match as a solo, and I actually pulled a dub here. And even more astonishing that, sure, it's Oceania. You're talking about a server that's 90% bots. But what really stunning here is that this is probably the first win this season I've gotten that didn't involve a flying saucer. I don't think I was in a flying saucer through this entire match. So the first trio's rolling up. I got 2 out of 3 of them. I'm not actually sure what happened to the third. He looks like he's going Fort Crumpet, or thereabouts. Yeah, I got the audio visualization that somebody was dropping in, and I was like, wait a minute. I want to get them, because if they're just coming down now, they probably don't have a gun. And I was actually able to make sniper hits, despite the fact that there's a shot delay because of the intense lag at 300 ping. I click, there's about a second, the gun goes off, and then I also have to calculate for the travel time. It's a bit of a nightmare. Yeah, so you can tell, like, straight off that that's a bot. And this thing is basically the Stark Industries energy rifle in everything but name, because they no longer have the license to use Stark anything. Hard to be precise when you're all hopped up on G Fuel. Now, I am going to let this one run for its duration, because, once again, considering that this was a solo in a trios match, and I'm probably never going to get that level of luck and borderline skill again, I'm going to let this one run for the full duration. Even though hardly anything happens. Although, I suppose in this match I was avoiding fights, not necessarily deliberately, because I was here, I should contextualize, I was here to place the rubber duckies. So I had already done the one at retail, and I was here to place the one at Believer Beach, and then I decided, since I had done that, I was going to place one at, what is it, Pleasant Park, whatever it is. So I ended up moving a lot and getting a vehicle, and that's kind of how I ended up not getting into fights, is that I was moving for half the match quite quickly, because I actually know how to drive, because I've played more than, you know, Fortnite. I've played Grand Theft Auto and Halo. I know how to handle a vehicle in a video game. Hell, I know how to handle a vehicle in real life. So I was able to keep it on the road, keep it, like, at top speed, and cover a lot of ground very quickly. The last opponent, of course, was a bit sweaty, but a mixture of luck and lag, probably, to be honest. Luck and lag kind of pulled me through that. Everybody's going zone. I'm trying to find a way of getting to Pleasant Park without running into anybody, because, in the very least, I wanted to get both of the ducks done before I died in this match. And I was planning on just dying. Like, I wasn't trying to avoid too much storm exposure, because I had a lobby of people waiting to start playing, and I'm just like, well, let me just get this challenge done, and I end up winning the match. Shenanigans followed involving me not knowing how Discord works, which, I don't... My communication skills do not extend to online vendors. I'm very loquacious, though, when I want to be. Yeah, we got a dub in a squads match that was absolutely bonkers. Like, I couldn't hear myself think. Everybody's just screaming at each other, but we won, and they were all talking about me, like, being super aggressive and hacking, and it's like... I've noticed in the squads W's that we've had in the past, I have often been very aggressive, and part of that is because I get a little annoyed when everybody's screaming in my ear at once, and annoyed for me equals aggressive. Where it's just like, you know what, I'm getting frustrated, I'm going to take my frustrations out on some unfortunate player who... some unfortunate player who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, I guess. They crossed paths with me when I had screaming in my ear. Yes, I am now just knee-deep, neck-deep, whole body deep in the storm. And I found the ducky. And then I'm like, I gotta get out, so I need a vehicle. Quick. And then I noticed the sports car, the fast car. And I checked this hoping for a medkit, which I found. Yeah, at this point I'm trying to see if I can survive here. I still got the 2 floppers. Now the thing is, you have to consider your path choice based on the vehicle you're driving. If I was in a pickup truck, I would have probably gone, as the crow flies, straight to zone. But I'm in a sports car, and that allows me a lot more speed, but only if I stick to the road, which means I have to take an indirect path to zone, which is what you see me doing. And ultimately that strategy did seem to work, considering I made it to zone. I mean, almost as soon as I got into zone, storm was starting for the next zone. So this is a bit of a dirt path, but I'm still doing a decent amount of speed compared to if I was completely off-road, so I stuck with this for a minute. I did consider taking that pickup truck, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna stick with the sports car. I had a decent amount of fuel. Like, the fuel levels are random when they spawn, so if you find something that you don't have to gas up ahead of time, especially considering the time crunch I was on with the storm eating away at my health. So yeah, again, you're going to see something that looks kind of dumb, that I actually drive into the storm, even though I'm outside of it, but I was sticking to the road, and I knew that there was an off-ramp into Misty Meadows, and that's what I was aiming for, so I was like, I'm going to have to do it, I'm going to have to drive into the storm. I mean, it's still a 1 tick right now. It won't be a 2 tick until this circle finishes closing. So I took some fire from that guy, but I didn't even let it slow me down, just kept going. So yeah, at this point I'm thinking endgame. I want high ground, because Mount K is in zone, and given the opportunity, I'd, rather have that high ground, because I have a sniper rifle, I've got a hand cannon, I'm sort of set for my usual thing of blasting people instead of building. Now, this part I will trim a bit, because it's basically literally just me going up the mountain. Somebody played themselves. They just came into the play zone. These are the unfortunate guys who, got blasted by me, because they're just out in the open. Now, if you're curious where that shot came from, yeah, I can see me if you can't. You're looking for that black speck that's about 3 pixels at the very top of Mount Cave. That's me. So yeah, there I am, like, oh, the funny part is, even without a scope, if I'd noticed somebody was there, I probably could have made that shot. Like, if I was in their position. I don't even know what happened to these two. They left the replay region. That's the extremity with which I'm attacking these people, because they're at the edge of my replay region. No one is even in my replay region right now. I can't... There we go. Somebody just came back. I remember somebody went for, like, the supply drop, and I just unplugged them. Like, that was their mistake. I mean, they're low, too, so I didn't even have to, like, go for a headshot, which I didn't. So yeah, again, you gotta remember, there's a 1-second delay for the shot, and about another second delay for the actual bullet to travel. Thing was, I knew exactly where they were going, which means I also knew exactly, like, when they would be where I wanted them to be. So I basically just put it to the right of the supply drop and just fired as I saw them approaching it, because I knew by the time the shot went off, it would be on them. And I just timed it really good. I don't even know if that was me or the storm. Well, it wasn't the storm, so it must have been me. So, Sweaty Boy here knows exactly what the score is. Oh, they just picked me up there. They're closer now, so I'm more like 20 pixels instead of 4. Yeah, they essentially completely lost track of me, which you can tell they're a bit nervous about that. I think they reacquired me from, like, the third-person perspective while I was hiding behind the hill. So they don't realize that I can see them. Like, they're creeping to try to avoid coming up on sound effects. Ooh, that was a mistake. That was a lot of fall damage they just took. Because they realized I was knocking it down, but what they just did there was not a good call. That right there might have just cost them the match. Because if they had more health, like... So yeah, that's probably about as sweaty as I get, and it still involved an egregious amount of stealth and cunning. I mean, I think you get a 5-point bonus to creepin' when you play as a xenomorph. Yeah, they still think I'm up the mountain. Like, why would he give up high ground? It's like, because it's not going to be in the zone, and it's better to operate ahead of that. And when I realized they were smashing stuff for mats, I'm like, okay, so they're approaching. They're going to try to, like, squeeze me against the storm, so I got to go a bit more aggressive. So I saw them, like, distracted for a minute and went for the ramp rush. They never expect the spiral ascension up the tower. I always confound them with that. Like, they expect you to kind of, like, go up in the same vertical column, like the whole spinny bit, but I always spiral around the tower, because it keeps them spinning. And that disorientation does actually pay off. It's funny, though, because they're doing plenty of spinning on their own. So here's when I started knocking down, and they dropped to try and, like, avoid getting killed with fall damage. They ended up just killing themselves with fall damage. Like, they lost more than half their health. I only needed to land, like, a couple of hits at this point. And with all those metal, I think they're out of mats. God, these sweaty guys without mats. Weirdly, I was less stressed at the end of that match than I was when I made that first win in Chapter 2, Season 6. Even though I was, because the thing was like, if I lose, who's going to complain about it? Because come on, man, I was solo in a trios match. What are the odds? But then the dub happened, and I was just like, well, I feel a bit accomplished, especially considering how like sweaty that got at the end. At least for me, like that was glacial to the pros at this game. But for me, that took some effort. I don't usually build like that.